Well, 2nd of August it is, wherever you're watching from East Africa and around the world. This is Citizen News at 1. I'm Johnson Wakazi. Well, the government and the teachers' unions have been called upon to dialogue to end the standoff over teachers' July pay. Embu University College Principal Professor Kotut has said that both the teachers and the government must put the interests of pupils and students first. He was speaking during the Embu East District Education and Prize Giving Day held at Kagari Primary School in Runyenjes.
I appeal again to the government and also the teachers to sit and resolve this issue. Now that the teachers have come out of strike, let's not have a situation where the government also goes on strike, so that it becomes a back and forth phenomenon. It is not going to help everyone.
Now, Muranga Senator Kembi Gitura says Constituency Development Fund CDF should be run by the county governments and not members of parliament. Gitura, who is also the Senate Deputy Speaker, says MPs have no right to handle issues of finances since county governments have the necessary structures and capacity to implement projects. Now, that particular report, of course, will be giving you details of that later on in this particular bulletin, is the subject of our feedback question, and we're asking you, should county governments handle CDF as opposed to members of parliament? Should county government handle CDF as opposed to members of parliament? You can send in your comments to 22422, that's 22422. Include your name and location, of course, and please, after your yes or no response, kindly answer, add one or two sentences giving us the reason why, and of course we'll be sampling some of them during this particular bulletin. In the meantime, let's move on to other stories. Bad news. All eatery places in Kabarnet town in Baringo must close down by tomorrow. Now, this is according to an order issued by the district medical services officer, Samuel Ruto, following claims of contaminated water being used by business owners after all taps went dry in the town. As residents of Kabarnet brace for the third week without water, there are fears that if the locals continue to use the water being distributed by unlicensed water vendors, there could be a disease breakout in the town. Ruto is now urging residents to be on the lookout as they eat in hotels. This comes after the Rift Valley Water Service Board fails to pay Kenya Power 3 million shillings in arrears. Hence, power, which should be used to pump water to the town, has been cut off.
They are saying that the bill is very high and they are going to connect the water by yesterday. But up to now, the taps are still very dry. And we can't wait any longer because the people are complaining a lot that their lives are endangered. So we are supposed to close the premises first.
An organization by the name Trusted Society of Human Rights has filed a notice of appeal at the Court of Appeal seeking to challenge a decision that reinstated Ethics and Anti-Corruption Chairman Mumo Matemu. The society argues it is not satisfied with the verdict, adding that in the ruling there was no evidence to substantiate the claims of falsehood on the part of Matemu. The Court of Appeal this week overturned an earlier ruling by the High Court that found Matemu unfit to hold the post of the Corruption Commission Chair. Now, the 195 ballot boxes for Mombasa gubernatorial election were last evening loaded onto a police lorry under tight security officers to Mombasa High Court for scrutiny. This comes after Mombasa High Court ordered for scrutiny of ballot papers in a section of polling stations in Mombasa to determine a petition challenging the election of the county governor Hassan Joho. According to the principal magistrate in charge of election petitions in the county, S.K. Gasheru, the exercise to scrutinize the ballot boxes is expected to start on Monday next week, and the process will take 2 weeks. Joho's election is being challenged by Wiper Party candidate Suleiman Shahbal. All right, athletes and residents of Nyahururu thronged the local stadium to pray for athletes from the region who will be representing Kenya in the World Athletics Championships in Moscow.
Leo yalikuwa kwanza kuombea wanariadha wetu watatu ambao walipata nafasi ya join timu ya Kenya. Mmoja ni Bidan Karoki, tawakilisha nchi hii kwa mita 10,000, na Lucy Kafu ambaye tawakilisha Kenya katika marathon, na Margaret Wangari tawakilisha Kenya katika mita 5,000.
All right, we wish you all the best indeed. In the meantime, the Kisumu Agricultural Society of Kenya show entered the third day today, with few members of the public attending the event. The Agriculture Principal Secretary, Cicely Kariuki, officiated during the second day of the show yesterday. This year's show has attracted a total of 120 exhibitors, up from 90 last year. During the event, Royal Media Services Ramogi FM, which broadcasts in the Dholuo dialect, entertained the public as locals came out in large numbers to interact with their favorite presenters. The SK chairman, Charles Owele, called on locals to turn out in large numbers since the show is both an educative and entertainment platform.
Pengine wananchi wanatarajia kuja kesho ama kesho kutwa, na pia bei ya vitu tunaona kama si kama vile last year, imekuja juu kidogo. Tunatarajia pia tunataka kuona improvement in terms of technology, in agriculture and also in industrial production.
I find the show enjoying because we are getting things from different places, like from Tanzania. Actually, everything here is new. Unafurahia hiyo show.
Now, days after a report conducted by Uwezo Kenya revealed that on average 10% of teachers are not in school on any given day, Narok County government has now initiated plans to hire graduate teachers who are not yet employed by the TSC to ease on the right to, of course, educational work.
In what appears to be a quick fix strategy by the Narok County government, after a report indicating the county is having the highest number of teacher absentees, education stakeholders together with county leaders met at the Masai Mara University to discuss on the way forward. Addressing stakeholders, Narok Governor Samuel Kuntai Oletunai said the county government will hire graduate teachers who are yet to be employed by the Teachers Service Commission to ease on the teacher shortage in public schools.
Together with the national government, to provide the necessary facilities which are required. That one, I'm committing you that we are going to do about it.
Tunai also added that the county government has embarked on a program to equip all schools with proper structural facilities to enable the students excel in academics.
Come up with a quality work plan for stakeholder cooperation and output for the next 5 years with achievable goals and targets.
The forum was initiated by the Narok County government after performance levels in the county were seen to dwindle day by day.
All right, so let's focus on some interesting story here. For those who don't have time to go for an occasional break or holiday, you know, the right to an occasional break from work is a time-honored employment ritual that is guaranteed in labor laws. The logic in granting workers leave is simply that both the employer and the employee stand to benefit from a less stressed and rejuvenated worker. But apparently, taking leave from work is not unique to human beings. donkeys too, at least those of Kajiado County, have been going on leave for donkey years. The interesting thing is, of course, as Brenda Cheruyot found out, is that the donkeys don't just stop working while on leave, they literally go on vacation, trekking for over 100 kilometers to El Tepesi, that is, where they gather to engage in typical holiday indulgences of resting, eating and mating, before tracing their way back to their workstations all by themselves.
You would be forgiven for thinking that the donkeys too are on strike, or that they are demonstrating against the many ills done against them. But these are happy donkeys, and with a good reason too. They're on holiday, and as it were, they have plans of just how and where to spend it. Every year at around this time, July or August, all paths lead to a place called El Tepesi in Kajiado County. And here, members of this unique donkeys club find a sanctuary. At El Tepesi, they take a much-deserved break. Just like we humans love to unwind, apparently these beasts of burden love to break away from their stressful duties. And here, they're on vacation. They get the rare opportunity to spoil themselves with typical vacation menu, plenty of rest, munching a rare delicacy, olkurshasha, finding love and catching up with the previous lovers and friends. They travel through their annual migration path on their own, day and night. It is said that they come from 10 different villages, some as far as Kenya-Tanzania border of Namanga, about 86 kilometers away.
Ni ajabu sana. Kwa sababu punda inatoka kule Ngororoi, mwingine inatoka Mbolei na anakuja kukutana hapa.
The beasts of burden call each other to begin the exodus without a shepherd.
So donkeys have a very special noise. When they shout, then other donkeys from far will hear that, and they will also do the same. So it's like they pass that message that it is time to go on leave.
And their troubled owners have no choice but to give in to their will.
This is the time really that they also use force to come and start preparing to go to El Tepesi. And when they come to El Tepesi, then it's just similar like going to a conference.
They have to maneuver through the wilderness. It's a long, tough journey. And like with the better-known wildebeest immigration, predators like lions and hyenas lie in wait, and many donkeys will not make it to Canaan. But on this trek, it's not just the fittest who survive. The weak ones too are not left to die. At last, paradise is here. Or so they seem to feel. They look like long-lost cousins and friends, excited to meet again.
Najua kusanyika hapa na hata saa nyingine tunakaa hata cha mzungu mmoja ameniambia kwani ya punda iko na mkutano. Ina meeting yao kama conference. Ni kama wale tu ya Serenges kwa sababu anahama.
John Oleserbaby, a volunteer caretaker of the donkeys who take a French leave, is swamped with complaints of missing donkeys.
Mwile kutafuta punda na mulipata mnatoka sehemu gani? Akanieleza. Sasa ndio mimi naandika, najua kumbe punda ya sehemu fulani ndio nakuja kutafutwa.
When dawn breaks, the donkeys vanish to the thickets in the outskirts of the town, afraid that their owners could be trailing them.
They sort of strategize, they sort of discuss and communicate, and you find them going to different directions in the morning at around 5 to 6.
3 times in a year, an estimated 1,000 donkeys migrate to El Tepesi. But why here? A donkey researcher has discovered the reason.
We have a herbal tree here called olkurshasha. It's quite a thorny tree, but the donkeys really like it. So when it rains, this herb really grows and becomes big, and they are able to eat on it, and I think somehow it also reduces their stress.
Besides relaxing, they also come here to mate,
which is a very, very important, and they go back, and some of them come also to deliver here. during that particular time.
With the growth of this town, human-animal conflict has become inevitable.
Inajaa mpaka barabara, hata wale wakaja hii town, hata hawezi kulala, unapiga teka manyumba, hata hawezi tofautisha punda na mkora. Tumezungumza na wazee tumekaa chini, tunakubaliana hizo punda zetu tunaweza kufanya nini, kwa sababu ni mali yetu na tuweze kupukuza au kuuza.
Even with the nuisance that they cause in this town, they remain the untouchables who use this space to discuss their matters. Gubernatorial, Citizen TV, Oltepesi.
Donkeys on leave. We'll leave it at that. Now, Zimbabwe's Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai says the just concluded elections was a sham and a huge farce. Tsvangirai says electoral irregularities and manipulation reverberated across the country. Tsvangirai's comments come on the heels of remarks made by the Zimbabwe Election Support Network, a coalition of local non-governmental organizations monitoring elections in the country, who earlier described Wednesday's vote as seriously compromised. But ZANU-PF's spokesperson, Rugare Gumbo, dismissed all claims of a flawed election. Yesterday, the Electoral Commission Forum for the South African Development Community, a 15-member regional bloc to which Zimbabwe belongs, endorsed the elections as credible. But the forum raised some reservations over some irregularities, including the late release of the voters' roll and the high number of excess ballots of up to 35%.
Yes. Face Prime Minister. Yes. Okay.
All right, so a reminder of our feedback question. We're focusing on who should handle the CDF kitty. Okay, so we're asking you, do you think county governments should handle CDF as opposed to members of parliament? Should county governments handle CDF as opposed to members of parliament? You can send in your comments to 22422, that's 22422. Please include your name and location and a sentence or two, giving us the reason why you think so. And we have Livingstone Kitawi from Lamu says, no, governors are becoming greedy. County governments have their budget and constituencies have their budget. Let everyone play his part. Ibra from Marsabit says, yes, it should be placed under county governments since members of parliament misuse the fund to set up white elephant projects just to give contracts to their sycophants so as to maximize on profits. And then we have Moses from Kinangop says, CDF should and must remain under MP's oversight. Let county governments come up with other programs and work towards making them as effective and as efficient as CDF. Governors and senators want everything for themselves, and that's totally wrong. And then we have Frank Ojambo from Busia says, Brother Mwakazi, allowing MPs to handle CDF funds is akin to putting a hyena in charge of goats. The insatiable greed by our members of parliament is well documented. Let the county governments do the job. Okay. So many thanks indeed, of course, for your comments. We totally appreciate. Keep them coming. The number is 22422. Who should handle CDF? Members of parliament or county government? We'll be sampling some of them. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.